Good morning. This is Philip with RTX Honeybees, beekeeping in North and Central Texas. I just wanted to make a pretty short video showing you all how I do my cut comb. Maybe it would help somebody out that's looking for a little bit different alternatives. So I do my cut combs in 3" by 3" pieces. That's 9 square inches. Most people either do 4x4 or 2x4. Now 4x4 is 16 square inches, 2x4 is 8 square inches. These pieces are 9 square inches. My pieces of cut comb generally are thicker than most people's because I do the 8-frame spacing in my honey supers. That does not fit in most of the commercially offered containers. That's why I use these little plastic containers that I get from Berlin Packaging. I'll put a link to this down in the description of this video. So if you're interested, but a 3x3 fits very nicely in the bottom of this container. Okay, what I do is I cut my cut comb just with a sharp, small paring knife. I have a cup of water, hot water, that I keep it in between cuts. So let's just demonstrate how I do that. Let me tell you a little bit about my setup here. I have 2 cookie sheets, and they both have a drying rack on them to hold the comb above the surface just a little bit. I take my pattern, which is just a little piece of Luan plywood. I think that's 5mm, and I just plan where I want to make the cuts. Obviously, I want to start as far to the left on that as I can. And then I'll just try to count. I can get 5 all the way across the top on this one. This one's very nice and uniform, so it's fairly obvious. But from time to time, sometimes there might be something offensive in this area. So you might, if you're capped all the way down, you can do, 1, 2, and then drop down and do another one and then go back to the top. So you just kind of study what you have here. This is kind of pretty looking in this area, so that might make a nice piece there. It's got drone, D-R-O-N-E comb in that area, which makes a big, see if I can show that to you. Oh, I gotta be careful. I'm gonna dump honey all over the table. I don't know if you can see that, but see how much bigger that is. So, but because I do use what's left over, I'm gonna go ahead and just start at the top. I have to come down a little bit on some of my combs because I have a wooden starter strip at the top, so I can't push all the way to the top. I really need to switch to where I'm just using a wax starter strip so I can get the full effect. So let's just start cutting and see how it goes. I'm going to move this to where it's closer so it doesn't have to drop as far. Now my cut comb is thicker, but I don't worry about that because I sell it by the pound or by the ounce. So it doesn't matter to me that it's variable thicknesses. I'll show you the packaging here after we cut a few pieces. But heating that knife makes it slide through really nicely. I could have got a little closer to that edge. I probably should have, but I already started now. So, and this should drop down whenever I get all the way through it. It should drop down a little 1/4 inch or so. See how that's dropped down? Let me pry that out, and I just continue on down. Same kind of cut. My main reason for making this video is to let people know you don't have to have an expensive cutter. Those are nice to have, but you can make do with a few things you already have around your house. And I think it makes a pretty piece of comb. And you're getting just as much as you're getting with the 2x4 piece. Actually, a little bit more as far as an area. I'm trying not to press this pattern down too hard because you don't want to disturb the look on the surface. And this is cut comb for selling, not for entering in a contest. I don't even want to think about what all you'd have to do for that. See, I'm already getting a little wetness around the edges because my pattern's transferring from one to the other. When this is, I don't know if you can see it in here, but it's getting a little wet on this edge. I'll take this and wipe it off, or even maybe take it over to the sink. Yeah, let's do a little water. Use a little water. Should have a wet rag here somewhere. Set it down somewhere. Okay. So now that I've gotten that honey off of it, it shouldn't be staining the top surface of this cut comb anymore. I'm not trying to win a contest, but you want it to appear nice on the table. All right, we pretty much got all those cut, and they've dropped down a little bit. The next thing I do, besides wipe my hand, get my wet rag for my hands. Okay, when you use the 3x3, you're left with approximately, it looks like an 1.5 inches, 1.75 inches. It'd be about a 2-inch piece if I was able to cut all the way at the top edge of the frame. And what I do is I'll take my jars. In this case, this is a salsa jar that I sell, and I just kind of measure out using my jar. And I cut this into strips that are the height of the jar. This one's not capped, but let's go ahead and cut another piece here. It's okay when these are going to be chunk honey. I'm going to pour honey over the top of these, so it's okay if they don't. And I pull these pieces out first because I don't have to worry about it being quite as pretty, but I just set a piece in there like that. It's a pretty nice one. And I'll pour honey over the top of these. Oh, looks like I need some more jars. Oh, I didn't cut that one. There we go. You get the back side of that one. Not optimal, but it's okay. Okay, so now that I've got there's a little space here, I can literally pick that up and move it, and that gives me some edges that I can pick up with. So you want to do this very gently, just 2 fingers. Transfer it to this rack for draining. Okay, so I generally let these drain overnight. But today I'm going to have to only let them drain a few hours because I want to finish this before I go on vacation. But the reason I like to let them drain is because I don't like the look of it when you pick up a box of this. Let me show you. You pick up a box of this. Tell you what, let me Let me turn you around so we can get a little better. I won't have that light in the... When I put it in the container, I don't like to have a bunch of honey that's pooled up in the bottom or right around here. So that's the reason I let it drain overnight typically. Let me show you my label. Okay, so this is my label. It's on a matte, clear matte finish. And I'm not that crazy about how it looks. I'm going to tilt this a little bit, but I don't want to flop around. I think when I reorder these labels, I will order them in just white. And I print these myself. But I mark where the honey's from. This one's already marked Richland. And I put the weight and the amount. This one has the weight, 6.3 ounces. But it doesn't have the amount because I'm not sure what I'm charging for it just yet. But just to give you an idea of how this can vary. Most of these pieces are real thick. I've got a couple in there that aren't so thick. But let's just tear off the scale and weigh a few and see what it says. Okay, this one is 6.3. Just recheck it. Yep. That piece is 8 ounces, half a pound. 8.2 ounces. And I sell it by tenths, up to the tenths of a pound. 5.3 ounces. So that one's smaller than the other one. 8.7 ounces. So see why I sell it by weight? I don't have to worry about the thickness and all that. And it sells pretty good at the market. So, and people have been requesting it. So I didn't get very much comb honey. It was a real slow start to the season. Some of it you can see here is pretty dark. But it'll sell just fine. All these beautiful pieces will sell first, and then as the year goes on, all of it will sell within a month or so of me bringing it out. I expect that I'll only have 25 to 30 pieces total this year. I was hoping for 100 pieces, but it is what it is. And the chunk honey tends to sell better when the comb honey is sold out. I charge a premium for this. I charge at least $25 a pound for the cut comb, and I'll probably charge total weight about $20 a pound for the chunk honey. Now my honey sells for $14 to $16 a pound anyway, so I get a little bit of a premium, but don't sell yourself short. You're going through all this effort and you're losing money next year because the bees don't have this comb to draw it out. So that's really all I have for you guys today. I sure appreciate you coming along, joining and watching my channel. Philip with RTX Honeybees. Y'all take care.